Hey guys, so I know I said that I would do a video talking more about my ex. So this is Chronicles of My Narcissistic Ex, part 6. It's been about 3 years or so since I've done an update. So as you know, before we moved, he pretty much had nothing to do with our daughter. And then we moved because my husband joined the military. We moved probably about 5 hours away from home, and that's and my ex is like 45 minutes away from there, but it's still 5 hours away. Um, so we moved end of 2019. Still never really heard anything from him. He was still sending child support payments, but our agreement was that he was supposed to have it to me by the 1st. But he, like a couple months after we moved, all of a sudden he started sending a little bit here and a little bit there. But by the end of the month, most of the time, he would have made the whole payment. Sometimes he is late. That's just kind of how it went. Although I did do the right thing and I notified him of our move. And I know a lot of y'all said, oh, don't take him off child support, but I did. I kind of just did what was best for everybody. For him, he basically wouldn't have it looming over his head to make a payment by a certain date to the child support office. And if he were to not pay his child support, he could get fines, go to jail, all that. And if he goes to jail for non-payment of child support, he can't work to sustain a living for himself or pay child support. On my end, I wouldn't have the fees deducted. And also what they do with the child support payments is they put it on a debit card. It's easier for me to just have money in my account and then use it for what I need it for, especially if I had needed it to go towards rent or mortgage payment. You can't pay those with a debit card. And then there's also the whole thing where we like the government out of our business as much as possible. I know it sucks because when you get married, the government's in your business, but it's, like I said, it's just trying to keep them out as much as possible. But he does know that if he does stop paying, then down here, I could just go to the child support office down here and put him on child support again. But he would have to come down here, so he'd have to drive like 5 hours to come do child support court. And also with the new job that he has and the money that he's making now, when I calculated both of our incomes, he would be paying significantly more, I think about 75% more than what he's paying now. So it's helping him out also financially. He is legally still supposed to have her on his health insurance, which would also cost another, I think he said like $400 and something a month. So he also has that extra money that he's not paying. And on the other hand, my husband's insurance is better because my ex is military reserves and then he has a civilian job. And then my husband is active duty. Active duty insurance is better than reserved insurance, because when you have reserves, you have all kinds of co-pays and stuff. And as much as she has doctor's appointments at least once or twice a month, that's extra money out of my pocket for the co-pays, because while he just pays support, everything that's out of pocket is on me. So if there are some things that we do have to pay co-pays for. There's also co-pays for medications. glasses, a lot of the dental stuff. That's all out of pocket for me. I don't ask him extra for that. But the way that I do the child support now um, is that I take the amount of days there are in a month. Let's say there's 30. And then however many days he has her, let's say he has her 10 days that month, um, I'll take his child support payment divided by 30, and then I'll deduct, um, like I'll times it by 10 or whatever, and I'll deduct whatever that is. So let's say he pays $300 a month. That's $10 a day. If he has her 10 days, then I deduct $100. For me, it's not about helping him at all. For me, it's about making sure that she's taken care of while she's there. So I don't like him paying me child support while she's visiting him. I see it as if he is paying me support while she's up there, then he's not going to have a whole bunch of money to do anything with her, get the things that she needs. Although when she does go up there, I tend to buy some groceries and send them with her. And there have been times that I have had food door dashed to her because they weren't home, and she had told me there wasn't much food, but really I knew she was just trying to get me to get her some fast food, some Bojangles. So to get to why she is visiting him now. So in August of 2020, we spoke, and he decided that he wanted to try to be a dad again. I immediately wanted to say, no, you've already had so many chances. It's not going to happen. But because Jocelyn at the time was 12, I figured that's a pretty good age for her to be able to kind of make up her mind on her own. And so we talked about the pros and the cons, and she decided that she was going to give him one more shot, even though she had given him countless shots before, because he has come into her life and then bounced, and then later come back in for a little bit and then bounced. And it was just too much of a pattern. And I know why she wants to give him another chance, and it's because he's her dad. She has a stepdad, my husband, who cares about her and takes care of her, but I get it. It's not the same. And she yearns that connection and that relationship with him. And even though it's been almost 2 years now, it will be 2 years in I think August or September. She still doesn't call him Dad. She calls him Wes by his first name. And she said it's because that, she can't trust him, that he's not just going to bail on her again. Now, we didn't just jump right into it to where it was like, oh yeah, you're going to go to his house for a few weeks. It started off with a weekend, then a long weekend, then a week, then 2 weeks, and then we just started gradually doing more. And then it got to where we were just exchanging her almost month to month. I would have her more. Like, I would have her for like 6 weeks, and then he would take her for 3 weeks to a month. He's still up to his same old tricks. Like, everything has to be on his schedule, and I have to drop everything about what I'm doing if he has to or wants to pick her up or drop her off last minute. Now, we meet in between, kind of in the middle, so we both drive about 2.5 hours and meet at, the same gas station every time. I've upset some of my clients because I've had to change schedules with them so that I can suit his schedule. And my daughter's my priority, so no matter what, I'm going to make it work so that I can go get her. Now, we usually plan this type of stuff pretty well in advance, but one of the things that bothered me big time was I had my surgery scheduled, and I scheduled it around when it was confirmed when she was supposed to be up there with him, so that I could focus on recovery instead of taking care of her. A week before my surgery, he tells me that him and his wife decided to go on vacation instead to Alaska, and it was a really expensive trip, and they can't cancel it. They didn't even ask. They just told me, and they said, "So we're not going to be able to take her." And I'm like, "Why can't she just go on vacation with you?" And they said no. There was no apology, no nothing. And I kind of did give him a little bit of hell for it, because I'm like, you're supposed to have her and I'm supposed to have this surgery, and now I have to change everything. But I, as a mother, I do what I do, and I just make it work. So I ended up having my surgery, I think, like a month and a half later. And also to mention, during that time, I lost a lot of work, because since my surgery was scheduled the first time, I had already notified all my clients so that they can find other dog sitters for that time period. So they already found sitters, so it's not like I could go back and be like, "Hey, I'm available now." And then, so I ended up losing almost a month of income because of that. But narcissists don't care. He knew very well when my surgery was, and he planned his trip during my surgery when he was supposed to have her, on purpose. It wasn't an accident, because him and I kept in communication and we talked about it often, because I like to keep confirming with him, "Hey, you have her these dates." And he planned it somewhat in advance, so all this time where he's talking to me, planning on taking our daughter, but yet he's planning a trip at the same time, and then all of a sudden a week before he just decides to dump it on me. "Yeah, we're going to go out on vacation instead." Now, when it comes to the month-to-month basic visitation time, that was originally his idea, because he said it would be better for him, and it would be better on both of us gas-wise, so we're not driving, all those hours multiple times a month. It's just easier to do it once every 6 weeks or so. Well, a month for when he has her, and around 6 weeks from when I have her. But we all know, narcissists, since I agreed to that, all of a sudden it didn't suit him anymore. He actually came to me and asked for less time with her. Now, what led to this was due to an incident. Now, I don't like broadcasting what our kids do to get in trouble, because it's embarrassing and humiliating, and I don't think it's other people's business when a child does something to get in trouble. And this stems from my mother. From any time I did something that was bad or didn't do something that she asked, she would just immediately get on the phone, start dialing, calling everybody she knows, family, friends of family, whoever, and be like, "Oh, you know what Jen did?" But not only would she take what I did, but she would take it and completely embellish, lie, and make things up to make the story sound a whole lot worse. None of those family or friends ever called her to say, "Hey, you know what my kid did?" It was just her talking to them. And so I realize how humiliating it is to have, something that you did to get in trouble broadcasted to everybody. It's the next time you see that person, you're like, "Oh, that person must hate me because they heard about this about me." But the gist of it is that she did get in trouble at his house, just like a normal kid does. It was a minor incident. Even though it was minor, she still needed to be talked to about it and punished. But lo and behold, my ex calls me and tells me what she did. And the way he describes it, it's a whole lot worse than what she said. He made it out to be just some huge ordeal that was just almost end of the world, like, oh my God, she can't come here anymore type deal. So I ended up getting him on speakerphone and talking to my daughter, and I let him know that he was on speaker so that she could hear. I had her explain to me what actually happened, and then he traced his steps back and said, oh, well, I assumed she did the extra stuff. I said, when you verbalize an assumption and act like it is a fact, that is a lie. You don't get to assume something and then spread it around as if it's true. And be like, oh, I just assumed it, because narcissists, all narcissists seem to think that if they assume something, they think it's true. And they think, okay, so I'm going to go blab this information around, so that makes it true. But then when whatever they assume actually isn't true, they're like, oh, I didn't lie, I just assumed. No, you lied. So now, she can't even trust him even more now, because she heard for herself that he lied about her. And I already knew he was a pathological liar, but that situation just made it even worse, because now we're trying to co-parent. How can I trust anything that comes out of his mouth when he says, oh, well, this happened during visitation? Regardless of that situation, she still wants to go visit. And I did tell him that when your kid gets in trouble, you don't get to just clock out of being a parent. You don't get to decide that when the going gets tough, you get your child less. He was wanting to switch from seeing her for a month to maybe a week to a long weekend. Narcissists, when the going gets tough, they bail. Now, how she's able to go back and forth so much is that she does virtual schooling online. She's on the AB honor roll almost every quarter, so I continue to just keep letting her do it because it's easier, she gets her work done faster, and it gives her a whole lot more free time than having to be at a school all day. It's also allowed for us to be able to take her on vacations with us, so we can go do our vacation stuff, and then after we're done for the night, we go back to the hotel or resort, wherever we're at, and she can do a little bit of schoolwork. But a lot of times before vacation, she will do a whole lot of work so that during vacation she doesn't even have to worry about work. On the topic of vacations, every single vacation we've took her on. She's part of our family, so why wouldn't we? My ex and his wife, they go on vacations often, and not one did they ever take her on. It's made her feel left out and like she's not part of their family. Even her bedroom there isn't her bedroom. It's an animal room, like cats, dogs. They have caged pets and pets in aquariums. And basically she just has a bed in the pet room, and I think there's also a desk in there for her, but she ends up being on her computer out in the living room instead. They make her feel like a visitor. As you can see behind me, I'm in a new place. We just bought this house a couple of weeks ago, and I made sure to buy a house that had 2 master bedrooms. And so my daughter has now her own room with her own bathroom in private. It's hers. She has privacy. So this is a home for her because she has her own space. It's not a double usage for storage or pets. The other main thing is growing up, I remember running out of the bathroom in a towel, trying to get to my room really fast so that my brother didn't see me. And teenage years are fragile years. She doesn't want to run out of the bathroom in a towel to her room and then, have my husband be here. At our last house that we were renting, she actually had the master with her own bathroom, and then we had the the bedroom where we had to go out to the hall to go to the bathroom. So she got used to having that privacy. So another thing is that she likes to wear dark clothes. I let her wear basically whatever she wants within reason, and do what she wants with her hair, or, I let her express herself. It bothers me, but they do at their house what they do at their house. But her stepmom basically wears khakis with tie-dye shirts like all the time. So the only clothes that they get her are khaki and tie-dyes. And our stepmom has told me before that she doesn't like her wearing dark clothes. It does bother me that she doesn't get to express herself there like she can here. But again, it's their house, their rules, and it's not hurting her. Another thing that I'm not sure that I had mentioned is that due to the stress and dysfunctional home that we had when I was with my ex, when he was always like yelling and throwing things, she ended up with anxiety, although I didn't realize it back then, and it caused her to pull her hair out to where she had bald spots, and she stopped doing that when I left him. And then when he came to live with us for a few months, she started back up again, and then when he moved out, she stopped. And I want to say that it's possible that she started back up again when she started to go visit him, but I can't be 100% sure. One thing that I didn't realize that she was doing was she was eating it. So last year when she was visiting with them, she ended up having to go to the ER. She almost died. She had to have emergency surgery because all that hair built up in her stomach for all those years. It was huge. Her stomach, it was basically the size of her stomach. It was covering the whole thing. She couldn't drink or eat anything else. She was throwing it all back up. And now she has to deal with having a scar for the rest of her life from just below her breastbone to her belly button. She was actually hospitalized twice for this. The first time was a few months before she went to the ER up there. I had taken her to the ER here because she was having similar symptoms, like throwing up and lots of pain. The doctors here thought it was just a giant piece of poo. So they put a tube down her nose with solution running through it. They went through like a couple of gallons of this solution, and she would go to the bathroom, and they did like an x-ray or whatever, and they said, oh yeah, it's all gone. But they x-rayed lower, and had they x-rayed higher and gotten her actual stomach, they more than likely would have seen this big mass in her stomach. So for her actual surgery, she was actually sent to a hospital that's 7 hours from here, and she was in there for 8 days. My ex actually called out of work and stayed almost the whole time. I stayed almost the whole time. I had to come back one day because I had a procedure that I had to do. I think I was gone for maybe just one day. Like, I had left after dinner, and then the next morning I had the procedure done, and then as soon as that procedure was done in the morning, I was back up there by, I think, lunch. He left a little bit every single day to go home because his home was about 2 hours from there. When we eventually got back home, we followed up with a children's surgeon down here who was not very nice. He basically accused me of lying, and then when I was talking about stuff, he was like, oh, now we get to the truth. And I'm like, I've been trying to tell you the whole story from the beginning to end. I'm not going to sit there and, chop it all up. Then he says in front of her that if he had done the surgery, he wouldn't have let her leave the hospital without shaving her head bald. And then he told me that I needed to go get her hair cut short. Well, he said I needed to go shave it. I didn't shave it, but I did take her to go get a short bob with an undercut. After that, I took her to her PCM so that we could get a referral to a therapist. The first therapist had no idea what he was doing, and every single session, he was Googling her symptoms and Googling for answers. And every session, he asked the same questions, and we just weren't getting anywhere. So I had to go back to her PCM, get another referral for another place, and this place has been absolutely amazing. But because of COVID, all this took a while to do, and my ex was basically, without accusing me outright, he was saying, "Oh, you need to get her into therapy. You need to get her into therapy." And I'm like, "I know, I'm doing that." And he was acting like I wasn't doing anything to get her into therapy. So with this new therapist, I told her, go ahead, open up to this therapist. I'm not going to ask the therapist what you talk about. I'm not going to ask you what you talk about. So that way you can be completely open and honest with her without thinking that if I do something wrong and you tell the therapist about it, that you're going to get in trouble for it. And same with my ex. It's private sessions just for her. But every single session, my ex is asking what went on. And every time I'm like, it's none of our business. Because if it becomes our business, then she's not going to be able to trust this therapist and open up to her. And that means she's not going to do what she needs to do to be able to heal. He had also talked about trying to get a therapist up where he was. I said, yeah, that's fine. Go ahead, but you have to pay for it because our insurance isn't going to pay for 2 different therapists in 2 different places. In fact, I encouraged it. I told him, you're already going to a therapist. It would be great if Jocelyn could go to the therapist with you. That way you two can work on your relationship. And that was actually last year. And so far, he hasn't taken her to a single session. And I know it's because he has lied to his therapist about things, and he's afraid that when she goes in, or if she were to go in and start talking, that he would be caught and outed. My daughter is the type of person that will not lie for you, and if she hears you lying, she's going to call you out even if it's in front of people. So those of you who have kids with your narcissist, watch out for any type of sign that you can find of anything being off, because you think it may not be affecting them, but it is. Narcissistic partners become narcissistic parents, and they become narcissistic grandparents. So there was also a time that he also didn't want to deal with me, and he was trying to get me just to communicate with his wife. I said, no, we're her parents. You and I should be discussing these things. He didn't like that I had a backbone and I set boundaries. On the sly, he gradually got it to where I was only dealing with his wife. And when I was trying to talk to him, he would almost never reply. So I was forced to do what he wanted, and I didn't even realize it was going on because it happened gradually over time. I ended up being okay with it because the less I had to talk to him, the better. But then it got to a point where she was comfortable making fun of my daughter. Jocelyn would be upset or crying about something, and her stepmom would make fun of her and laugh at her. Like she literally bragged to me that she was doing that stuff. That's pretty traumatizing as a kid because my mother did the same thing. My mother used to make faces like this, to try to, in a serious situation, she wasn't trying to make me laugh, she was just making fun of me, and then she would get my brother in on it, and they would be both going, wah, wah, making fun of me crying. It's emotionally damaging. I told my ex about it, and then him and I started communicating with each other because his wife would now not speak to me, and she doesn't even look at me. I had a conversation with Jocelyn, letting her know that her feelings are valid and how her stepmom acts towards her feelings is not okay. I told her that if someone is laughing at you because you're crying, there is something wrong with them, not you. He's still been taking her less, and now he's getting ready to deploy for a year, so he won't be seeing her for that year. She's actually with him right now. I go in a few hours to go pick her up. Anybody want to take a stab at how many times he contacts her in the next year? Because when Jocelyn is with him, I call her and I text her. I still play the Roblox with her, and I just communicate with her because she's my daughter. She communicates with me. I don't do it constantly because I want them to have their time together, but I do it probably every other day, every 2 days or so. Now remember, I have her longer than he does. When she's here, him nor his wife text her, call her. They don't get any Skype calls. They don't play games with her. It's just like she doesn't exist when she's with me. She has her own phone, so it's not like he has to call me to talk to her. He can call her, and it can be a private conversation in her room. I don't need to hear it. I don't need to be involved in it, so there's not really any excuse of why he can't talk to her for stretches of like 6 weeks. I can't go 6 weeks without talking to my kid. I know some of you guys are going to be upset that I even allowed her to go there. But like I said, I made it her choice because I didn't want her to resent me later on saying, I don't have a relationship with my father because you wouldn't let me, you know? If it blows up in our faces, it blows up in our faces, and that's just another thing that we're going to have to deal with. But when he lied about what she did, I told him under no certain terms that, and I told him very sternly that if he ever lies about our daughter again to make her look bad, that I will rip the rug right from under him and he will never see her again. Because I'm not going to allow, I told him I'm not going to allow him to do to our daughter what my mother did to me. Because that is more damaging to a child than not having the parent there at all. It is better to have no parent than a toxic parent. He is the reason she almost died. He is the reason she has a scar. He is the reason why she has to be in therapy. The only thing you can do to protect your kids from a narcissist is as early on in the relationship and an early on, well, first of all, don't have kids with them. But if you do end up having kids with them, as early on in their life as possible, get them away from the narcissist. Because the kids are just going to be caught in the middle and it's going to damage them. Both of my husband's parents are narcissists. My husband became a raging alcoholic, and he's now in recovery, and he did a lot of unfavorable things. And then his brother became a drug addict, all kinds of drugs, an alcoholic, a thief, and a liar, and an abuser. Not physical, but emotional. I'm sorry this update was so long, but it was 3 years of pretty much 3 years of information. I'm gonna go get some stuff done around the house, let these guys outside. She's mine, he's mine, babysitting that one. And they've all been occasionally barking at whatever noise they hear outside. And I have to get ready for this weekend because my daughter and I's birthday is this weekend. She is turning 14. I am turning 25 for the 14th time. And I hope everybody is doing great. See y'all later.